The three hazards that will sink your business. Starting an online business is like setting sail to a destination across a vast ocean. And that destination is your desert island, your dream life. And to get there, we have to understand the risks and opportunities we can face as we sail across the entrepreneurial ocean. You are the captain, and your business is your ship. And just like every captain, your journey towards your dream life will involve facing some challenges and spotting opportunities like catching headwinds or finding a new port to trade in. Holes will appear in your ship as storms and hazards are encountered that you will need to deal with, and you will also have winds and ports you can use to get to your destination in the quickest and most efficient way possible. So let's have a look at 3 hazards that can create holes in your ship that you need to watch out for and how you can mitigate against them. Now, here's an important note. In the grand adventure of entrepreneurship, the journey is rarely ever smooth sailing. Just like a seasoned sailor who understands that they can't prevent storms or eliminate a hidden reef, a savvy entrepreneur recognizes that they can't completely remove business hazards. Why is this the case? The world of business, much like the sea, is constantly changing. Market trends shift, customer needs evolve, economic conditions fluctuate, and new competition emerges. These inherent uncertainties make it impossible to completely eliminate risks or hazards. However, just as a sailor can mitigate risks by understanding the sea, an entrepreneur can reduce the impact of business hazards. So we need to figure out a way of handling all this. Now, here's an important point to understand. If you try to remove risks, you will end up being very stressed. But if you focus on mitigating risk, you will be able to manage the pressures of business. This is one of the biggest reasons people cannot handle the stress of business. Instead of preparing for a storm at the beginning of their journey, they try to avoid all storms. But you cannot control the storms when you're sailing your ship. All you can do is prepare for them and reduce the risk that they represent to your ship. I will probably do a full video on this at some point, but I just wanted to raise this point here so that we have a basic understanding of the need for mitigation rather than risk removal. So let's have a look at hazard number 1, not understanding your audience. Think of this scenario as being a sailor who sets out to sea without understanding the winds and the tides. Just as a sailor must understand these elements to navigate their journey effectively, an entrepreneur must understand their audience to successfully steer the business. Failure to understand or listen to your audience can manifest in several detrimental ways. This one is very common: misdirected marketing. This is like sending out a message in a bottle, but you've thrown it into the wrong current, so it never reaches the intended recipient. Whenever you don't understand your audience, your marketing efforts might not reach the right people, or even if they do, the message might not resonate with them. It's essential to know your audience's demographics, interests, needs, and habits to create a marketing strategy that effectively attracts and engages them. I see this a lot at the moment with big companies. They're putting marketing out that's not really focused on their core audience, but rather telling everyone how wonderful they are and how socially correct they are and how trusted they can be. They're talking about themselves. They're not thinking about the customer. It's a very common mistake. Think about your audience, think about your customer, and focus your marketing on them. There's another thing we can do, which is creating the wrong products. Imagine that you're a trader setting sail with a ship full of goods, only to find that the people at your destination don't want what you're selling. If you don't understand what your audience or your customer needs or wants, you might end up investing time and resource in developing products or services that they're not interested in. So it's really important to understand what it is that your customer is trying to buy. And there's another thing that we can do, which is we can miss opportunities. This is like sailing past a lucrative trading port because you didn't read your map correctly. If you're not paying attention to what's selling and what's not selling, you might miss out on opportunities to expand successful product lines or pivot unsuccessful ones. Monitoring sales trends and customer feedback can reveal what's working and where there are gaps that your business could fill. Sending the wrong message. Imagine you're shouting at a group of people on a shore as you're landing your ship, and they don't understand your language, and you think you can speak the language, but you don't speak it properly. You're saying something thinking it's friendly, they're hearing it as a threat. This has happened in history. If they misunderstand you, they might get the wrong impression. Again, we come back to that point I was saying earlier where companies try and portray a certain image of themselves rather than focus on what the customer actually wants. This can also happen because you don't understand your audience well, you don't understand the language. We can unintentionally offend them, or we can give them the wrong perception about our brand. And adding to all this, the importance of understanding our audience or our customers is vital to know and understand the power of social proof. The experiences and opinions of your customers can significantly influence others' perception of your business. When you pay attention to your customers and meet their needs, they can become your biggest advocates. Positive reviews, testimonials, and word-of-mouth referrals are all forms of positive social proof that can attract more customers to your business, much like a favorable wind propelling your ship forward. Conversely, if you neglect your audience's needs or fail to address their concerns, they may generate negative social proof, complaints, poor reviews, unfavorable word of mouth. All of these can deter potential customers and damage your business's reputation. And that's very similar to a storm pushing your ship off course. So ensuring customer satisfaction isn't just about maintaining your current customer base, it's also about leveraging their experiences to attract new customers. In the grand scheme of scaling your business, the social proof your audience generates can either act as a tailwind propelling you forward or a headwind pushing against your progress. So how do you avoid this hazard? The key is customer awareness. Be open to feedback. Keep an eye on market trends. Regularly review your sales data. And most importantly, engage with your customers. Listen to what they're saying in your social media comments and in the reviews they leave you. Surveys, reviews, direct customer interactions can also give you valuable sources of information. Now, if you're a new business, you don't have any social proof, how do you use this? Well, you want to look at your competitors. Find competitors that have good social proof and find competitors that have bad social proof. That will tell you what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing. Social proof is the steam engine that you can add to your sailboat to really get it moving. Social proof is everything in business. It does not matter what you say about your business. It only matters what your customers say about your business. And when you accept that, it will change the way you run your business. Let's have a look at hazard number 2, sudden platform changes online. Imagine you're sailing smoothly on a calm sea, but suddenly the currents shift and a storm blows in out of nowhere. As a sailor, you would need to quickly adapt to these conditions to avoid capsizing your ship. In the world of online entrepreneurship, a similar and sudden and unexpected change can happen with the platforms that you use that you rely on for your business. In this digital sea, the platforms you use to run your business, think social media sites, e-commerce platforms, search engines, they're like the winds and currents that move your ship. When these platforms change their rules or algorithms, it's as if the wind has shifted direction or the sea current has changed its course. If you're not prepared, your business could be swept off course or even run aground. And here's how these sudden changes might affect you. Visibility. Many businesses rely heavily on certain platforms for visibility and customer reach. An unexpected algorithm change could suddenly diminish your content's visibility, leading to fewer customers seeing your posts for your marketing or your products if you're selling something. This situation is similar to a sudden fog at sea, limiting your ability to see your way forward. Monetization. Sometimes platforms might change their policies about monetization. For instance, an online marketplace might increase its fees, or a social media site might stop showing your content. All of a sudden, those wins you were using die down. Functionality. Platforms sometimes roll out updates that can change the way they work or the features they offer. This situation can be likened to your navigational map no longer being relevant. Places where you used to sail might no longer be accessible or friendly to you, or there could be new areas that you're unfamiliar with. So how do you navigate these sudden platform changes? Staying aware and being flexible are key, and spreading your risk across multiple platforms. Regularly update your knowledge about the platforms you use, and don't be too reliant on a single platform for your business operations. A lot of people will only sell on one platform. I see this in the training industry because other platforms don't make as much money for them. So they go, this one is making all the money, so I'll concentrate over here. And then all of a sudden that one decides you're chopped to liver. They don't want you anymore. And that's happened in our business multiple times. But because we diversify across many platforms, we say, all right, see you later, your loss. And we double down on other platforms and promoting our own business. So a few smaller platforms can give you that security if the large platform starts underperforming or decides it doesn't like you. The rule here obviously is don't put all your eggs in one basket. And diversifying your online income streams is important because it means that you have alternative routes to travel if one route on this sea of entrepreneurship becomes impossible to navigate. So once your first income stream is up and running, look for other opportunities you can take advantage of that are separate from your main income stream. Understanding the platforms you rely on, being prepared for changes, and having the flexibility to adapt are essential to keeping your business steady in the digital sea. So make sure you join any forums or boards or Facebook groups or Reddit groups where people are talking about the business you're involved in and the platforms you're involved with. Keep up to date with social media, the changes to the algorithms, what's the hot thing right now. 1 minute is stories, next minute is shorts, then it'll be podcasting, then it'll be audio rooms. You have to keep on top of these things because these platforms change all the time. And so do the platforms you're selling on. What typically happens, and we've seen time and time again, a platform will be doing well, and all of a sudden a new CEO comes in and they decide they know more about the business than everybody else who's ever worked there. They make disastrous changes. That business dips, takes you down with it. This happened to us when we were selling antiques on eBay. New CEO came in, didn't know nothing about eBay, didn't know nothing about the marketplace, didn't understand the business, came in, started making all these changes, and all of a sudden our business was very adversely affected. And back then we didn't know what we know now, so that caused us a lot of stress and a lot of problems. So whenever you see a new CEO coming in on a platform or they promote someone else, keep your ear close to the ground at that point. Start listening out. In the analogy, we're going to stick someone up in the crow's nest and they're going to be watching the horizon for threats and dangers all the time. Don't stress about it, be aware and mitigate the risk as much as you possibly can. If you're finding this video useful and you want to take a deeper dive into all aspects of entrepreneurship, then check out this special offer. You can access my Business Buddies training community, which has 58 hours of condensed premium training, and that includes 6 best-selling masterclass courses. And you will also have access to my own personal support in my private community. My courses have been taken by 300,000 plus students from all corners of the world, so these are tried and tested and extremely popular best-selling courses. You can save over 50% on the normal price right now using the coupon link below. You won't get a better deal anywhere else. Let's have a look at hazard number 3, building a business on debt. Building your business on debt is similar to setting sail with a ship that's already leaking. It might look fine from a distance. It might even get you moving, but underneath, those holes are going to keep getting bigger and will eventually sink your ship. When storms start hitting your business, you're going to struggle. You see, it's easy to bail the water out when the weather and sailing is good, but it's not so easy when waves are crashing over the sides in a storm and you are taking on water faster than you can bail it out. And this is what happens in business. When things are going well, you can just bail it out, you can pay the interest. But when things start going wrong, when the storms start hitting and the water's coming in over the side, and you've got that hole in your ship as well, it's very hard to bail it out. It's very hard to keep ahead of the interest and to stay out of trouble with debt. So I recommend that you don't try to force your business to grow faster than it naturally can. As the business grows, so does its needs and complexities. Suddenly, you might need to hire staff, invest in new equipment, ramp up marketing efforts, and so on. And the temptation is to fund that with debt rather than profits. This approach is the number one reason so many businesses go under. They are borrowing money to fund a future source of revenue not a current source of revenue. It is speculation, and it's not much different to gambling. It gets even worse when people secure that debt on their own personal property, because now they're putting their home at risk. And something interesting I've noticed in recent years, you used to be able to set up a company and it'd be a limited company, and you could build up, say, a property portfolio. That business would take on the debt, not you personally. Now, with those types of mortgages, you will see these mortgage companies are attaching those businesses to your current home. So the old version of a limited company, which interestingly enough came about when people were trading and sailing the seven seas, that's where limited companies come from. The ship companies would set up and people would invest in the ship companies, but they wanted to do it in such a way that if the ship went down, they didn't lose all their possessions. So limited companies were created for that. They were a way of protecting you from the risk of debt in a business. But now you have to check those things, because a lot of these limited company terms and loans are no longer like that anymore, or not for the small trader anyway. Now they'll link it to your home. So you have to be really, really careful at putting things like your family home at risk, because you can start another business, but losing a family home is a massive blow to any family. So always protect your family home. Now, you don't need to grow a business on debt. You can grow it out of your profits if you start the business small and use the profits to scale the business. Also, you have to consider this. When you build a business on debt, it's as if you've let a third party, the bank or whoever loaned you the money, aboard your ship, and now they have ultimate control over your journey. Now, the thing with a bank is they don't care about the destination you've charted. They want their money back with interest. It's all about the interest. It's all about the money. You're an income generating asset for them. Now, what also happens is the repayment pressures in a business can lead to impulsive decisions that aren't in the best long-term interest of the business. For instance, you might find yourself cutting corners, compromising product quality, or pricing your services irrationally just to make the short-term revenue needed to service the debt. Another significant concern with debt-based growth is that it costs a lot more in the long run. Let's say your ship has sprung a leak, and instead of fixing it properly, you just keep bailing out the water. It might seem like a quick solution, but eventually you'll realize it's costing you more time, energy, and resources than if you had fixed the hole properly in the first place. Similarly, interest payments and loan fees add up over time, and the longer you take to pay back your debt, the more it costs you. Banks will also increase interest rates on you and will not even blink whilst they're doing it. Ask me how I know. They will not even pause for a moment to consider the impact it has on you as they take more and more of your profits. And the longer this goes on over time, the more interest they can get out of you, the happier they are, the more profitable they are. They are inherently rewarded by getting as much interest out of you as they can for as long a period as they can. They are not there to help you get out of debt. They are there to turn you into an asset to keep you in debt. And the added stress and pressure from this debt will distract you from focusing on growing and improving your business. Let's explain this with another simple analogy. We'll leave the seafaring bit aside and we'll look at it from a farming perspective. Let's say you have 10 sheep and they give you enough wool every year to feed you and clothe you. Now you notice if you tighten things up a little, you can survive on the produce of just 8 sheep. Those 8 sheep can keep you going. So now you have 2 sheep that you can sell the produce from. So now you have the wool that you can sell. And you can use that profit to buy a field. So now you have another field. Now you have room for more sheep and you can breed them. And now your sheep fill the new field. And you can keep doing this and keep doing this until you buy another field. Now you have room for more sheep. All the while you're living in the same simple tent you had when you started breeding your sheep. And then eventually you've got so many sheep and so much profit that paying for the big farmhouse is easy and can be done with cash. The more fields you have, the more sheep you have, the more wool you have, the more profits you generate. Now let's have a look if you bought those 10 sheep on debt, got a loan and you bought your 10 sheep. You have 8 sheep that are feeding and clothing you and 2 that are paying the debt off to the bank. So now you don't have any profit to buy the field with. Your profits, instead of investing them back into the business, are going to the bank. Now, let's say one of your sheep dies. Now you have 7 sheep to live off because the bank still wants the output of its 2 sheep. It's not its sheep that died, it's your sheep that died. They don't care about that. And then all of a sudden the banks decide, oh, we're gonna help you out here. We're gonna put the interest rates up. I find it fascinating when you hear the central bank say, let's put the interest rates up to control inflation. We won't stop printing money. No, that's not what we're going to do. What we're going to do is we're going to put the interest rates up so everyone pays a little bit more. Now, what happens now is instead of needing 2 sheep to pay the banks, you now need 3 sheep because the interest rates have gone up. To fund the debt payment, 3 of your sheep are now working for the bank. But you lost one because it died. Now you've lost another one because the interest payments have gone up. So now you're having to live on 6 sheep. You're relying on 6 sheep to provide your needs. And now you cannot afford basic living costs. This is what happens in business. Changes happen. Profits go down. Things happen to your business. Debts go up. Interest goes up. Debt ruins your business. It is a slow cancer eating away at your profits. And eventually, it starts eating into your basic living standards, your basic costs. So the first step is to change your attitude about borrowing. Don't borrow at all. This is something I had to go through. This is something I had to grow into. And what I had to do was I had to stop borrowing. And that meant we could patch the holes and we could start bailing the water out in our ship. The way you do that is what you want to do is start reducing your costs to a minimum. Streamline every area of your business. Look for every efficiency saving you can. But here's some of the ways you can do that. Review your business expenditure. Check what subscriptions you have in your business. Cancel those that you're rarely using. Look at digital resource sites. If you're an online digital entrepreneur, you're going to probably buy music or images or something online. So there are sites out there that are going to meet most of your needs all in one place. And that way you can focus on one subscription for your image, video footage, graphics needs. We're currently using Envato Elements because it has a very large resource library, and we're not sponsored, by the way, but we use them because it's one of the most cost-effective ways of getting digital assets for our online business. We also use Adobe. Now, that might surprise people. The reason we use Adobe is because it gives us nearly every tool we could need for our business. We use so many of their products in our video production. We also have some KDP products. We use it for that. There's so many different ways that we use Adobe software. So then the big package actually becomes quite cost effective for us. Sometimes you can even use free software that is modeled on the more popular Adobe programs if you're just starting out and you're just creating one type of digital asset and you don't need a big suite of software, then that might be viable for you. That might be a way to save money. You can get video editing software that's free. Now, it might not do everything that Adobe does, but it might do enough for you right now. Also, look for yearly payments for your subscriptions, as this massively reduces costs. Yes, it's a big layout once a year. But if every month you're putting aside money for your monthly costs, then you will have that when it swings around again. Don't try to find the money once a year. Budget every month for those software packages and save for that payment when it comes up. Also, contact suppliers you've decided to let go and let them know you'll be cancelling at the end of the month, as they will often offer you a deal. We do this with our mobile phones every time we need to upgrade. We literally ring up our phone provider and say we'd like to speak to the customer retention team. And then we say to them, look, we're going over to this place, but before we do, we have enjoyed your service. The only issue we've got is your cost. Do you have any deals that might help us with this transition or the need not to make this transition to this other company which are offering a better deal? Customer retention teams, if a company has one, typically have access to the best deals. So whenever your contract's coming to an end, about a month before, ring them up and see if there's anything they can do for you. And if they don't have a customer retention team, move on. They're not the sort of company that's going to look after you. And try to make your equipment last. My iPhone is about 3 generations old now. I've had it about 4 years and they're still going strong. And the new phones don't offer anything that my current phone can't do. With our mobile phones, we get good quality phones and then we try to get 4 to 5 years out of them. And typically it's a battery that forces the update, or if you're on 6 or 7, 8-year-old phones, you'll know like Apple will cripple your phone. because they'll just keep bloating it with software till it don't work anymore and you need the new one with the more memory and the bigger chip. We know it works, but buy better quality stuff in the first place and cost it out over 4 or 5 years rather than 2 or 3 years. So what people do, sometimes they'll buy a cheap phone that lasts 2 years. Some of the cheap Androids, you'll get 2 years out of them and they'll die. It's sometimes cheaper to get a better quality phone that will last 4 or 5 years because it's got a faster processor, it's going to last longer, and it's better made. So when making purchases like that, think long term. Now, if you need to pay someone to do something for you, consider outsourcing. So you hire a contractor for the job rather than hiring an employee. So it's cheaper to use a site like Fiverr or Upwork and find a contractor for that particular job or that task than it is to hire a staff member that is hard to fire and expensive to keep. We have always avoided having staff in our business. Also now with AI, we practically have a full team of staff. I can get AI to help me with all sorts of things that typically an employee would have done in the past. So there's lots of opportunities there. But if it comes to the place where you need someone, maybe you're handing over your video editing or you want someone to do some graphic design, look for a contractor rather than an employee, because employment law is so detrimental to business in most countries that it's almost worth avoiding whenever possible. Another thing you can do to save money is buy good quality used equipment and pay cash, but buy them from excess profits. Again, build up those budgets every month. Have an equipment budget that you put maybe £200-300 in a month if you're running a video production business. And then once a year, you've got that money to pay for those new pieces of equipment or to replace that equipment that's broke down. And you have to watch those budgets. Make sure you have a budget for everything. There should be that monthly amount for every area of your business, and you need to keep everything in budget. If you're constantly overspending in a budget, then you can review that hole in the ship. That's a hole in the ship. And either increase the budget if the budget is unrealistic, if the expenditure is absolutely necessary, but your budget's too low, or bring it under control if you're overspending. Buy equipment that your business needs, not equipment that you want. A lot of people buy equipment for a task they're not actually doing, so they over-equip. Don't over-equip. Buy the best equipment you can get that does the task in the simplest way possible at the lowest budget possible. Obviously, like I said, there's times when you buy quality for longevity, but don't spend money on buying bells and whistles that you don't need. You know, what all this does is this increases your profits. If you're paying yourself your basic income, you reinvest those profits back into your business. Now, this is going to increase productivity, efficiency, and it's going to increase your ability to create new or buy new assets. For example, that contractor we talked about, we can hire people to make assets for us once we've got a system in place and once we've got an audience and a particular product we know works, we can pay someone to make that for us. That way we can then keep building on those profits. So relying heavily on debt to grow your business is like ignoring your leaks in your ship and trying to sail faster whilst the ship is getting heavier and sitting lower and lower in the water. And it is filling up faster than you can empty it when a storm comes. It leads to rushed decisions, like we said before, loss of control, higher costs, and just as a good sailor knows the importance of maintaining the ship, a wise entrepreneur understands the value of sustainable growth and financial health and does not build a business with debt. They build it with profit. If there's someone out there teaching you to build a business with debt, run away. Please run away. Build the business with profit. You want your ship to be watertight. You want plenty of sails up, and you want to be watching the weather and charting your journey to avoid the storms and take advantage of good tailwinds. As a reminder, those 3 hazards are: number 1, not understanding your audience. Number 2, not being aware of changes in platforms or being too reliant and dependent on a platform. And number 3, building your business on debt or trying to build your business on debt rather than building it on your profits or out of your profits. So there are the 3 main hazards you will face. Manage these and you'll be able to grow your business successfully. Please like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. Also drop a comment below with your thoughts about any of this stuff. I like to engage with you and hear from you. And even if you think I'm talking complete rubbish, drop a comment below and we'll have a chat about it. If you're starting a new business, then one of the things you're going to need is marketing training. I have a free online course on online marketing and sales that has over 30,000 students, 4.5-star rating, comes with an exam and certification. It's completely free, no obligation on your part whatsoever. I'll put a link to that. That's on my website, and I'll put that link in the description. We also run the Business Buddies training community, which we've already mentioned. So check that out. That'll be on the same link if you're interested in that. Thank you for watching. I look forward to catching up with you in another video.